I'm up in beautiful Northern California, and this is September 1st, 2013. And as you can see, it is an area that's dramatically overpopulated. And I jest, of course. But, California does have about 40 million people. And I got to tell you, I think it could easily fit 10 times, maybe 100 times that. And I think the reasons are obvious. I wanted to hit on a couple issues today, and one of them is this word that we all use, freedom. And I hear it discussed a lot about America, that we have a lot of freedom. And I don't hear a lot of people define what they're talking about. And therefore, there's really no meeting of the minds as a whole as to what that really means. But yet, we still use it. We don't question it because we don't want to look stupid. This happens a lot, I think, as human beings. We've got this pride issue, and we put up these walls of defense that prevent us from learning the truth, whereby if we could just lay it down and say, you know what, so I'm ignorant, sue me. But, we need to really understand when we use a word, if we don't have a meeting of the mind, the idea for the word that I have in my mind, the idea you have in your mind, whether it's a word or a term. Take a term like believe. If I say I believe in UFOs, for example, it might indicate to some I'm saying I trust in UFOs, or I have faith in them. Because when you believe in something, in essence, you are saying you trust in that thing. You have faith in it. You're invested in it, in that sense. But if I say I believe such and such exists, if I say I believe UFOs exist, that's just an unidentified object in the sky. Then I am not telling you I have any faith in it. But you might take that to mean that if I say it in the way that I mentioned earlier. I believe in UFOs, which doesn't mean anybody has any faith in them or trust in them. To what avail? But to say that we need to just be clear on what we're talking about. And there's a couple of words today I wanted to touch on. And one of them was this term, of course, freedom, and what that really means. Now, what are we talking about? If we're talking about, whether you're confined in that sense or free, I guess we've got a lot of freedom in America. But as an average worldwide, from my understanding, is we've got a lot of inmates confined per capita. There's so many arbitrary laws, like the drug laws and stuff. It's just made for profit. The whole thing is a money-making operation. That's all it is. It's about controlling the people and making a buck off them. Even though it would be a lot cheaper to just end poverty, so you'd end all the crimes that are committed of financial desperation. But they don't want that to happen. So back to defining words. Freedom. Freedom, folks. If it is not freedom from economic oppression, tyranny in that regard, then what use is it? Okay? It isn't freedom. It all is about money. You can go back to what King Solomon taught. When he said, the love of money, that was Jesus that said, the love of money is the root of all evil. But King Solomon said that money is the answer for everything. He didn't say for some things, for everything. He didn't condone it by saying that. He simply stated a truth, that the God of this world, this system, this society, worldwide, is money, the magic power, the sorcery that is contained therein in this piece of paper that has no intrinsic value. Okay? So, you understand what this is all about. This is how the people are oppressed. First and foremost, primarily, we are controlled through money, through the issuance of currency. And it could actually work if we had a free market supply and demand economy, because what would happen was eventually, like in the state today, you have a superfluity, an excess. You've got a huge supply. So you've got wealth. You've got enough wealth in productivity that everybody on earth can be rich. We can all live in nice houses. We can all drive nice cars. Okay? We can all have plenty of food to eat. None of us have to be financially secure and going without. Okay? That's the way it could be. And that's what they won't allow. Okay? These people create problems where none exist. That is that they just want to be fat, blood-sucking leeches off the general public. All right? And if they can't do it through taxes, if people just, they just say, hey, I'm not consenting. I'm not going to do this thing because I don't approve of how you spend my taxes. I don't approve of this whole scheme. Okay? So, if they stop paying the tax, they can do it. But one thing that people can't stop paying is the cost of living, particularly when it comes to essential human needs. This is what needs to understand. And they've removed all the protections that people can have, all the checks and balances, so that we could ensure that we could maintain and sustain a minimum standard of living. They've made sure that our currency is unsound. This is by design. And people are waking up in mass to know that these people at the top, these top money lovers, who might as well exemplify Satan himself, have not done this by mistake. This is intentional. They planned this out. They're psychopaths, they're sickos, they're evil. They just as soon half the population died, they got to keep their lot in this life, this temporary lot they have. They're very wicked people at the very top, and they do want to depopulate the earth. They want to usurp any authority God or Mother Nature has, whatever you want to call that force of good, and they want to take over that job. They're killing us through our food, our water. They want us to be, by the time we retire, they would like us all to just die. By the time that, that we're on easy street, we've busted our asses all our lives, okay? They want you hopeless. They like the high suicide rate. I'm telling you, these are some really twisted individuals where the average decent human being cannot fathom the wickedness that exists in the hearts and minds and behavior of these top evil people. Folks, they're in collusion. You got your politicians, these bureaucratic politicians, not doing the will of the people, supposed to be doing the will of the people, instead doing the will of the bankers. You just want to dump more and more money on the public and get us further and further with wars, with mortgages. Okay, they want to make it hopeless with student debt. All this crap. These people are just sons of hell, and they would like us to turn into sons of hell with them. And notice there's this miasma, this air of, of dog eat dog out in the society. Nobody feels appreciated. We're all sucking lemons, And this is what they like. They like to make us as miserable as they are. And that's what we can't let happen. We cannot let our fighting spirit, we cannot let our love for humanity wax cold. That's why I make these videos, because I love humanity. This is my contribution, in a sense, to humanity, is to try to wake people up, to empower them, to understand that you are God's child, therefore you are like a little God. You have great power as an individual. Just understanding your worth, your self-esteem is tied up in approval from on high. So anything you do for the betterment of humanity, to work toward an ideal world, not just for you, not just for me, but for everybody. All God's children are loved equally. That's the most any of us can ever really possess. And we need to encapsulate that and give it to others. And this is not about ego. This is about self-esteem, okay? Because we are beloved, and we need to teach others that they are, that they're not a useless piece of crap, and that they'd be doing the earth a favor by killing themselves to cut their carbon footprint. All this is evil rhetoric from the pit of hell. Okay. I know I digress, but I think it's important sometimes. And, back to defining words. Freedom. So you see, quite the contrary has taken place in America in my whole life, 55 years old. So as far back as I remember, with JFK, the assassination, we tried to give a sound currency, silver-backed currency. It would have been a good check and balance because it's a finite metal. That's the one good thing about precious metals, is that there is an inner intrinsic check and balance in the sense that it's of limited nature and it has industrial use and other uses too. But the best one that I've ever stumbled across is wages. And notice this is what they will not allow. You can contact the Labor Department. They'll say they give cost of living adjustments on the minimum wage. Bull. Bull. If you put it on a graph, you'd see a continual increase, a dramatic increase in periods of history in the cost of living, with Bill Clinton getting rid of the Glass-Steagall Act, huge debasement to our currency. Price of houses went through the roof, so your housing dollars just plummeted in that one action. And it takes many years for that to be absorbed in the system, all around, because everybody's, trying to raise their prices and keep up with the cost of living. And, everybody's just trying to survive and keep their head above water, but the system keeps pushing people down. It's a rising tide of death, okay? It levitating the ships of the rich, that disparity. They keep running, their ships are up there just floating around on a cloud, not feeling any pain, and we're down here, gouged and bloody and dying in the gutter, hemorrhaging out, metaphorically speaking. And it's done with the money. It's done with stealing our wealth. This is our wealth, folks. We all need to ask ourselves, what do you want for your kids? What do you want for their kids? Do you see where this whole thing is going? Could you imagine the mainstream media? They're also working with the same group that's polluting to bring us down. Okay, they're always telling us how great higher housing costs are. Okay, well, let's get crazy here. Then let's take that to the extreme. Let's make them $1 billion each, okay? What's going to happen then? And the taxes, they say this is the basis. This is why we say, it's not because the homeowner has more equity, which we all know they do. And it should be seen as a conflict of interest because most of these mainstream media people are homeowners. But the point is that, so when they say the higher housing prices are good, that's good for them, because if they can psychologically get people to believe this, it's good for them too, because their housing prices go up. And, so the tax base goes up. This is how they reason it also. The tax base goes up, and more taxes for the government coffers means better services and all this crap, but it's not true. You've got all these government agencies set up to intervene with extreme abject poverty, and there's all these people that more and more keep falling through the cracks. The government says, we're broke, we can't afford to house these indigent people, and the people can't just go out there and take any property like it used to be, homestead. They have made that very difficult to squat anywhere. They're always persecuted and run out of places. There's no assistance given them to set up their own little neighborhoods where it's reasonable to do so. No, there's no tangible help. They want the problem to exist and persist on the level they want it. Without the problems, folks, they're all out of business, okay? You got to understand this. Let's take the immigration issue. Widely misunderstood, okay? If you benefit from a higher population, it's good for you. If you're burdened with a higher population, it's bad for you. It's all very simple. I notice in the mainstream media, there's not so much as a whisper about creating jobs in the nation to the south of America, Mexico. We never hear anything about that, about the fact that they have the same ability. There's more billionaires in Mexico than we have in America. So why don't we hear so much as a whisper? I mean, if it's so great to have the people, then let them keep the people and give them jobs there, okay? This makes no sense, folks. Why we're going overseas to China, giving all our jobs over there. I'd rather give them to Mexico. At least that's a closer neighbor, and things would be better for America. And why do we want to trade with China anyhow? We never should have opened up trade with a miserable country like that. Miserable. Find out about China, folks, okay? It's a miserable ass country.